Hello, everyone. Steve Stone, host of the Grim Truth Podcast. I come to you today at the time of this video to address some things and to be transparent, as I have always aimed to be since I started this podcast almost 2 years ago. At the time of this recording, I have been blocked on Facebook for a joke that I posted, a meme, back in 2020. Obviously, somebody with an axe to grind, a Karen or whatever you call woke people nowadays, obviously wanted to seek some kind of vengeance, and they got it. There's other platforms and there's other ways to go around it, so it doesn't really hurt. I think social media, other than the use that I use it for, which is mainly to promote missing persons cases, I think social media is a toilet, and it has its uses and it can be useful. But some of the drivel on there is it's petty, and like people nowadays, they like to be petty on it. I wanted to address the elephant in the room, which you guys know that I'm always doing something. I'm always posting something, and of course, being even before I got Zuckerberg, you obviously know I haven't been putting anything out, and I haven't been doing the podcast. And I wanted to address that today. First of all, if this is the first time you're watching, subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, hit the notification bell if you are interested in the missing and interested in helping tell their story, as I am. When I started doing this 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I came out guns blazing. Pardon the euphemism. I came out with my hair on fire, and a lot of people told me that I needed to pace myself. I don't know how to do that. I also I can't help myself get emotionally invested in these cases because of the type of individual that I am. I'm a God-fearing family man. I think family is the most important thing in my life. Being a parent and a husband is one of the most important things in my life. Doing this is one of the most important things in my life because I'm bringing attention to something that is, I think, becoming a problem in this country, and that is missing people that have an addiction or mental health issues or criminal. They don't get looked at. These are people that are thrown away and nobody gives a shit about. And I don't think that's right. I think that everyone has a value. Life has a value. It's a principle that I have been instilled in me since I was a child. And every person has value. And that's what I try to bring to the attention of everyone that'll listen. There are people that struggle just to get out of bed because they're at their wits' end, and that's something that I've tried desperately to bring attention to. I will be the first to admit that I have tried I've tried diligently to be professional and to not let my emotions get the best of me, and sometimes that is difficult. But I have to be true to myself. I can't be fake. I'm not plastic. I don't believe in being something that I am not. I don't prescribe to that methodology. I've run into a bunch of people that do, and we're going to talk about that too. I haven't been active because of a lot of reasons. It's not all of it is personal, and the only person that I can blame is myself. I feel that I've let some people down, and I wanted to address that. From doing this, I realized that I know I can't fully understand or experience it because I've never had a missing person. I have lost a child, and I try to relate off of that loss and to even remotely understand what these family members go through. And even that isn't enough to fully understand what a loved one goes through when their wife, daughter, son, mother is missing or murdered. For that example, it's been a tough year, and I've methodically tried to help everyone, and in doing so have put a lot on my plate to the extent that I've just completely burnt myself out. I've put too much on my plate and I've done what I was told not to do. I've done what I've promised not to do, and I keep doing it. I don't learn because this isn't a money-making scheme. If it was, I'd be posting stuff every day, and I don't. But this is the things that I want to talk about. The old adage, no good deed goes unpunished, is something that my father used to tell me all the time, and it totally rings true. I want to start off by saying that the podcast isn't going anywhere. But I do need to figure out how I am going to do the podcast and do it as I think it should be done, as the families need it done, and what that's going to look like. So I'm going to be taking the break. I do have 3 podcasts that I have to get out, and I don't have a timetable for that. They will be out before the end of the year, as well as the rest of last year's episodes as I continue to convert them. But I am going to be taking a break, and I am still going to be working behind the scenes on cases. I will just not be putting out content. What does that mean? That means that other than the 3 podcasts that I have already pretty much have done and I need to put out, I won't be adding any more new content this year. I will be finishing up Jeremy Wayne Circle. I will be doing Thomas Hines, and I will be doing another episode on Ashtyn Blake Campbell. And then that's going to be it for the year. Again, I don't have a timetable because I'm working through some things, and I'm working also on getting some other things together to complete those. When I had somebody send out the post that I had been put in Zuckerberg jail when I had been zucked. Somebody put on there that all I do is perpetrate slander and I don't know what I'm talking about. And I want to address that because that's kind of like the main theme of this deal is slander or the truth. The name of the podcast is the Grim Truth Podcast. The truth, albeit ugly, terrible, dark, grim, it's the truth as I know it. Now, I'm not going to get on here and say this woke culture we live in and say I'm going to tell my truth. I get my information from family members, eyewitnesses, testimonies from friends, and other things. I'm telling a story. If it's wrong, there are litany of people that could get on and correct the record. But nobody ever does that, you see. There's a lot of cowards that are in the shadows, that do nothing but cower in the shadows. They'll be quick to call somebody out on something, but they're all cowards. I'm never going to apologize for being me and how I go about doing things because I have to be true to myself. So this gentleman, again, talking about slander or the truth. So let's talk about some examples of what is slander and what is truth. And then I'll let you be the judge. Comment down below, please. And let me know what you think. And I have no problem taking criticism. I have no problem, I trust me, I get a lot of criticism and haters and vitriol and I can take it. That's not what this is about. But my soul kind of hurts because of the stuff that gets to you, that eats at you, that I'm sure eats at these families. But let's talk about it. A mother in Texas who has a son that's missing, who's been looking for her son, who's done everything she possibly can, who had some help along the way. But that help that she had was hiding things, was not being forthcoming with stuff, and began working in their own best interest to do their own things. Is that slander or is that the truth? Well, it's true. I know this is a personal fact. I would swear on a stack of Bibles, I would testify in court that that'd be the case. That very same individual who was helping us talk to the wife of the missing person, who was helping get information, then turns around and decides that, well, she wants to be besties with that individual. And it's not clear if that individual knows more about the case than they do. Speaking of which, the wife of the missing person has sold everything the man ever had. Hell, he wasn't missing 2 weeks before his stuff was taken from Monahan's. Why would you do that if he was missing? Wouldn't he come back there? Now, is that slander or is that the truth? There's a woman, another woman in Texas looking for her brother who's had no help. None. 20 plus years. 22 years. Had to declare him dead. No help. Nobody to help. Has busted her ass. Committed her life to finding the truth and has no help. Is that slander or is that the truth? He went to his friend's house to stay the friend only helped one time to pass out flyers, then left the area, started a new life with a new name, same life. Is that slander or is that the truth? Here in the Tampa Bay area, a young woman comes home from a night out with friends, picks her kids up, is seen driving inside her mobile home park, and disappears. The husband was there, and he went fishing that weekend. Is that slander or is that the truth? Another young girl in the Tampa Bay area went missing on some railroad tracks after seeing her racist boyfriend around the time that he found out that she was African American and Caucasian. And he knows a lot about what happened to her and his friend, and has been a complete a-hole in the whole thing. Is that slander or is that the truth? Andrew DeWeese got in a car with two people, ran into some woods after seeing some cops. His girlfriend and other people knew he was taken, had made a comment to a family member that we need to get some ransom money together. And the story is that he was murdered, beaten, tortured, murdered, dismembered, burned. Is that slander or is that the truth? His brothers, they have more to say. I'm sure they have something to say. But they haven't really offered any insight into what happened. Slander or the truth? And finally, a young man in Arkansas who was brutally murdered. Brutally murdered. A mother who has to do the investigating, even taking pictures of her deceased son as he lays on a table, marked up, cut up, scarred up, beat up, does her own investigation. To the extent that she has everything that you could take to a grand jury right now and they would indict, other than the bullshit autopsy and the bullshit investigation done by the detective and the bullshit lies by the people involved, and none of this was investigated, and it was ruled a drowning. Is that slander or is that the truth? A person confessed to being there as she witnessed two other individuals beat and murder this kid. Now, you can take what that Jezebel says with a grain of salt. But other people, not just her, several other people have come forward saying almost the exact same thing, naming the exact same names, and people want to sue. I hope, and we're talking about Ashtyn Blake Campbell here, folks, and I hope somebody does sue. I hope somebody does sue, because ignorance of the law is no excuse, and if somebody sues, that means there's discovery, folks. And if you didn't watch the Johnny Depp trial, the things that could be brought in a civil defamation suit, oh, please sue. I beg you. Sue. File a lawsuit today. Because then the chickens, my friends, will come home to roost, and everything will be out. Everything. So please, because then, guess what? Their eyes might open and an actual investigation might be done on the murder of Ashtyn Blake Campbell. I want to talk about that too. Because one of the things that really bothers me is I can tell the story of how this young man was brutally murdered and how his mother, who has done everything she can do, and not a and in no uncertain terms understands that her son was no angel. Nobody's an angel. But he did what he did. He lived how he lived. But does that mean that his life meant nothing? No. Every life, no matter if it's Chris Sanders, Jacob Paddock Weeks, Joseph Little Joe Bain, any of these cases that I've brought up, they all matter. Is it because they're Hispanic, or because they did drugs, or if they were a criminal? Is it because they're not a white chick from the suburb? Yes, that's all true. But back to Ashtyn's case, the 3 videos that I did, if you add the total views up, it almost 10,000 views. Okay? Now, in order to complete the investigation in Ashtyn's case and have some of the evidence that hasn't been turned over, have some of the evidence looked at by an independent forensics laboratory, that costs money. It's not free. Kim's trying to raise $4,500 to get that to happen. If one person donated $1, she could have close to $10,000. I'll be making a donation today. If you care about Ashtyn Blake Campbell's case, we need everybody to donate $1. This is a fact. Ashtyn's case needs to go forward. And the only way to get justice and to get those evil son of a bitches in jail is by donating $1. So anybody that watched, unless you were one of the people that had something to do with Ashtyn's murder, and you still want to donate, great. You can donate to help put yourself in jail. But those of you that watched that weren't named in that, if you donated $1, Kim can have the money to keep this investigation going. And she's on a timetable, folks. These are the things that break my heart more than anything. And I knew going into this that there was going to be drama. And that, but I was schooled. I had to learn on the job that some of these things that happen are, man, you really know who the people are. You know who you can trust and who you can't trust. Who has an ulterior motive and who really is doing this for good. There were weeks during the last episode on the Chris Sanders case where I was feuding with the East Texas 8 group because I didn't agree that holding a prayer vigil without the mother's consent and support was proper. I don't care what side of the fence anybody else is on. That was my view. And I got called out for I'm trying to be famous. And if I was trying to be famous, I would do YouTube videos on video games or some other kind of stuff that wouldn't be as challenging as finding missing people. And I mean, think about it. I haven't put out, so it's not about the money for me. This has been a challenging year. And the Grim Truth Podcast will continue because it has to. Because there needs to be a voice like mine, if I can be selfish for a moment. There needs to be a voice like mine that speaks for these families and those that are missing and the victims of heinous crimes that are going unsolved because the corruption in law enforcement or the stigma that goes along with that individual keeps people from getting justice. But I cannot do it by myself. I can speak the truth. I can tell the stories, But it's going to take all of us to create that change. And in order to do that, everybody needs to be involved. The other, Eric Lane, is a prime example of that. We can't move on anything unless we get a certain amount of signatures on that form. And that's been a problem. Sebastian's going around killing all kinds of people in Arkansas. The Grim Truth Podcast will continue. As I take this time off, after a lot of deliberation and a lot of thought, I'm going to figure out the best way to do this. I have a wonderful support system. I have a wonderful group of friends that I'm going to thank right now. I would like to thank Sandy Sanders. I would like to thank Jolene Oney. I would like to thank Terry Hopkins Burton. I would like to thank all of those that have donated to my Patreon. I would like to thank all of the families that have allowed me to tell their loved one's story and have given me the trust to do that. I want to thank Joshua Graham, Linda Barrett, Danielle Martin, Barbara Gilmer, Susan Nichols, Kathleen. There are so many of you that have supported me. Christina, everybody that's been supportive, and I want to thank you. My wife. This has been a learning experience, and I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to grow. Again, I want to reiterate that the podcast is going to be here. The Grim Truth Podcast isn't going anywhere, but I have to figure out moving forward how I'm going to do this so that it doesn't. It does more. I have to do more, but by doing more, I might have to take on less, and that's what I'm talking to people. I'm getting ideas. I'm talking to another podcaster right now. I'm talking to family. I'm getting ideas from friends. I want to also thank Scarlett Campbell, Heather Escalante, so many. And that's the other thing too. What's bothersome about the missing, as I wrap this up, and I'm kind of moving around, as I meet people, with all the drama and BS that goes on here with the missing, there are people that are really good at helping, but because of all the drama, they have to take a step back because it's like putting yourself in front of a bunch of people throwing tomatoes and lettuce and vegetables like you see in the movies, and then you just keep getting hit, and these people have to take a step back because the drama and the emotions and everything that comes with it is can be overwhelming. There's no doubt, and if it's overwhelming to the people that are helping, my God, it's overwhelming to the families. And if you want to think about hindsight, if you want to think about the realism of the missing, this pen, the tip of this pen, represents the missing cases that we've covered compared to the over 600,000 cases that get reported each year. Just the tip of the pen. That's the enormity of this crisis. This is an epidemic. And I will continue to be a voice for those that can't speak for themselves. But I have to figure out the best way to do that and stick to it. Again, I am going to keep working on a few cases. Chris Sanders' case is always being worked on, as well as Ashtyn Blake Campbell's case, and a few others. I'm going to still be working. I'm just not going to be actively putting out content, with the exception of a few podcasts that I've already got done or are finishing up, and then I'm gonna just take the hiatus and do what I need to do to figure this thing out. I could not do what I do without you, and I appreciate, even though Facebook is off limits for me, we have well over 6,000 followers to that page, man. And we have almost 2,000 here on YouTube, and we need to keep growing. And I don't care how long it takes for it to grow to be as big as it can be. But if you haven't done so, or you want to do so, if this is the first time you're catching this video, we do videos and podcasts of missing persons, mainly, and also try to get justice for victims who have been murdered and taken from their families. And if you would like to help, or you'd like to be a part of that, spreading the word, subscribe to the podcast channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Grim Truth Podcast, and comment. Let me know how you feel. Let me know, ideas. If you want to volunteer, that would be great too. I have to be more organized and figure out a way to best do this that is going to be more helpful to the people that I want to help, and those are the families. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of what we do here, and thank you so very much for your continued support as I continue to be, and we continue to be, a voice for the voiceless in search of the truth. I'm Steve Stone, and I will see you very, very soon. God bless.